To say a couple things before I do my little piece here. Where we are right now has been a process of discovery, of research, development, guinea pigs. She and I have just literally put ourselves through everything to get to the point where we can bring you guys facts, science, and not more gimmicks. As Suzanne said, I think it's such an issue with the obesity epidemic and people being able to lose weight because there's so much conflicting information. We're bombarded with gimmicks. Take carbs out, low fat, high fat, Atkins, Weight Watchers. I truly believe and have experienced, by now we've probably worked with about 1,500 people over the last 3 years to get to where we are. And from every one of them we've learned a little bit more. And I truly believe that if you can imagine in your mind any body type that you want, us guys, bigger, stronger, more ripped, women have different ideas about that. I truly believe that you can attain that at any age, but it's a math problem. It's not a gimmick problem. There's a certain amount of macros that your body needs, protein, fat, and carbohydrate, that specifically will get you to that body. Alongside of that is correct fitness intensity. And when we plug the right digits in there, then that body type is sitting over there and waiting for you. So it's simply a math problem. It's just finding out what that is. So you guys hear me raving all the time about lits and hits. So we call them lits and hits. As we started getting into our process and research development, it was very clear all the science about training was coming out about high intensity interval training. Where we were when we were in Colorado was, okay, it's HIIT, but how much? How much should somebody be doing? How long should the HIIT be? How many times a week are appropriate? So we just started playing with different times, different amounts of it to come up with what we do right now, which is what we recommend is 3 to 4 as a beginner, probably 3 high intensity intervals of no more than 30 minutes. So that's why I'm always like yelling at you guys about coming in and getting crazy on cardio. I want you to warm up, but I don't want to deplete those glycogen tanks on cardio. I want you to take it out on the weights. I want you to take it out on the workout, and I want to exhaust them. It's not until we exhaust that tank and also the energy system that it's also you've got these glycogen energy systems, and then you've also got the body's adaptive process, call it, right? And it's not until we deplete that for so long that then we get the anatomical benefits from it, right? So that's why I'm always go, 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 push, 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 right? But then we have to have the other side of that. You need low intensity days as well. They can be anything. Our VO2 test, the substrate analysis, there's a 50-50 mark on there that you guys have done that test, and it shows us where your body at a certain heart rate is burning 50% carbohydrate and 50% fat. That's the magic zone. That's where your fat burning potential is going down and carbs are going up. What we want to do is get that spot to become more and more efficient, so you become a more efficient fat burning machine at higher heart rates. If all we did were these hits, you become a really good sugar burner. Yes, you will lean out. Yes, you will have all these other things. But it's not until we get the other side of that, the low intensity day and the fat metabolism, you guys probably heard me say, it's the caboose in the engine. So if I'm only doing HIIT, I'm pulling the train, which is my metabolism. If I'm only doing slow yoga, walking, hiking type activity, then I'm pushing the train. But if I get both of these fuel tanks turned on and keyword optimized, right, that's when the metabolism just starts going crazy. That's when you see everything elevating and you're becoming a better fat burner during the sessions, thus metabolizing more fat. So that's the dual energy systems. It's not, everybody's seen on the cardio machine, your fat burning zone, your this burning zone. It's more complicated than that. But let's just say at your lower intensities, everybody starting walking on a treadmill 3 miles an hour will probably be at their optimum fat burning potential. Okay? But let's say for even math, you burn 500 calories in an hour, fat burning, and 80% of that came from fat. Well, 80% of 500 is what, 300 calories? So you burn 300 calories, but many of you almost burn close to 800 to 1,000 in 30-minute hit, right? But we're burning sugar and fat. At a lower percentage, we're burning fat, but when you take in the equation of the massive amounts of calories, the fat burnt is greater in a 30-minute hit than just sitting on that treadmill for an hour. Okay? Did I confuse everybody? So just think about it. Very, very basic. I've got to have days, 2 to 3 days of recovery type training, not just getting on a piece of cardio. I like to do a mix of things. My guys like to lift weights. You need to be somewhere in that 65 to 85% zone is your lift. Our hits are 86 to 100. Okay? That's where we need to be training on those days. And they can be anything. You can go hike. Many of you enjoy hiking. We actually measured like the length of Radnor. Gainer Ridge is about a 45-minute low intensity interval. Perfect. The lifts need to be longer than your hits. Okay? I think also the Cove Trail came in at about 45 minutes as well. Rest and recovery. Before I move on, any questions on that specifically?
Length of time on the lower, like I like to go for an hour and a half hike, but you would say that's too long?
I would say that's too long.
Okay.
Yeah. I would say, and we'll get into anabolism and catabolism here in a second. My only concern about this over an hour type activity is we need to eat that back, right? So many of you are challenged when Tiff says, you guys are coming in here having been suppressed eating 1,200 calories. Tiff's throwing carbohydrate and eating 1,500 calories and you're resistant about it because you know more than she does.
What?
Right? Right? So you don't do it. Now if we throw in these hour and a half long gauntlets that we've convinced ourselves is the way we need to train. I need to run my ass into the ground and eat less. That principle right there is what started our process. Because I've been doing this 25 years. I had a studio for 8 years and that was what we did with people. We ran them into the ground every day for an hour and fed them 1,200 calories. And for a while, it'll work. Delta boot.
Yeah.
Made a living off that.
Done it.
And what happened after you did the first boot? You came back and did it again, didn't you?
No.
No? Okay, you were done? Most people just kept coming back, coming back, coming back. We have so many people that are so deeply suppressed from 8 years of the boot at Delta.
But I did it on my own, that same thing, if this
Sure.
is how many calories.
Absolutely, but we convince ourselves that this is the way to go. Now, I know you enjoy that hike, but what I would argue is even in a lit, once we cross over that hour and a half zone, that 30 minutes that you burnt needs to come back as far as fuel. This is the problem we get with our CrossFitters. They're doing hits, but they might be doing 5 hits a day. They might do a workout that's a 15-minute hit, but they'll do 3, 4, 5 of them. Now we need to eat that back, or that energy is going to come from somewhere. Where do you think it comes from? Your muscle. Your body is going to convert that muscle called glyconeogenesis, the making of new carbohydrate. And it's going to do it through muscle tissue before it goes to fat. And you're also activating stress hormone that we'll talk about. This is the overtraining symptom. Okay? So cortisol, so chronic cortisol dump. Everybody's heard of cortisol, right? Is it a good thing or a bad thing? Most of the conversation that we're hearing out there now is you hear cortisol and you're like, whoa, daddy. But listen, cortisol is a prerequisite to going anabolic. Metabolism is about 2 things, guys. I am anabolic or catabolic. I am producing and recovering new muscle tissue, and I have the fuel and the right activity to do that, or I'm catabolic and I'm eating it. So when I'm suppressing and I'm lowering calories and I'm doing crazy training, your body, like Tiffany was talking about that RMR, is trying to get back to homeostasis. If you're not putting those calories back in there, your body is going to get those glycogen tanks back, whether you like it or not. And it's going to do that by going into protein source, converting it into a carbohydrate, okay, which is a nasty way of getting it. And this is also what's happening in the paleo, where you're eating excessive amounts of protein. It's ketosis. You're eating excessive amounts of protein, and that's actually a diet book. This is You're eating excessive amount of protein, excessive amount of fat, then forcing your body to turn it into a carbohydrate. It's much like putting a Coca-Cola in your car for fuel. It's a nasty way. There's a lot of byproduct that's happening. It's a nasty way for your body to get a carbohydrate. Yes, sir?
Hey, Stu, could you, for those of us who have a little bit of knowledge here, but simplify homeostasis, because I think that helps enlighten everybody as far as what
It's a good point.
what our body does.
Yeah, well, let's just say homeostasis would be the point at which your body signifies rest. This is where I want to be, okay? So I'm neither under or over training. It's always trying to come back to normal. Now that normal is ever fluctuating, okay? This is another thing that I've really learned about not just my body and getting older is the body is constantly moving in a wave. It's not systematic and it's not linear. You cannot train anything like that. Weight loss, your own weight loss, for those of you who have worked with Tiffany, it doesn't go this way, does it? It goes, okay? It should look like a healthy stock market, but in decline, right? It's kind of moving in a way. Everything is, and so is homeostasis. Homeostasis is going to be based on your relative fitness level, and also as that fitness level is increasing or decreasing, so is your homeostasis. But it's your body's chemistry basically going, okay, this is normal, and I'm trying to get back to normal again. Does that help in any way?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, is like our entire bodies, mind as well as physiology, are trying to become equal. And that's an entire struggle. And what you guys are trying to do is create a new normal.
Exactly.
Make it a new...
Yeah, or find normal again. Like, I would say normal is so abnormal in our society. I mean, come on, let's face it. Between stressors, workday, exercise, that's basically how we're growing the system. You're stressing it. Okay? So my job as coach is to see your capacity, right? I need to stress you in such a way as to create change. You're going to resist that, okay? We don't do so good at coaching ourselves. I am the worst coach to myself that I can be because I'm still 19 in a 47-year-old body. I don't see myself clearly. Nobody does. We've all got different body image issues, and this is all happening. That's why a coach, because I can call you on your shit. I can walk you up to the cliff and push you off when you need it, or I will pull you back. That's why a coach, and that's why you need to trust in that process, because I can see you better than you can see yourself. Okay?
That's actually where I was going with that, as far as the coaching aspect, because me included, the trainer, is we're going to go to that point where it's comfortable right there.
I'm good.
I'm good. That's all I want to go. I pushed myself because that's what I think is, no, it's over here.
And we see that resistance, like many of you have heard me the first day you come in here, right after you sign up, what do I say to you? I'm like, okay, now here's the real conversation. You're going to resist this tooth and nail. The quicker you come to terms with that and then just do what we tell you, the faster you're going to get results. But there's usually about 3 or 4 weeks where it's just resist, any and everything, because of that process that's up there. Okay? So, back to cortisol. Cortisol has to be there. There has to be stress to force change in the body. Okay? If we don't stress it, nothing changes. Right? If I got a plant, I put it out in the sun, too much sun, and kill it. Not enough, it dies. Your body is working the same way. Cortisol is a precursor hormone that tells the body that it needs to be going anabolic. There's stress there, we need to go anabolic. But if there's too much of it there, prolonged, then we get the opposite. So your body is getting this cortisol dump, and you're saying, whoa, man, something is happening. Now, as fancy as everybody is, I could bring a caveman in from 100,000 years ago, put him in your clothes, and if he didn't speak, you wouldn't know it. Evolution is not caught up with us as much as you may think, okay? So when the body has got dumps of cortisol in it and there's stress, why do you guys think people stressed out 100,000 years ago? They weren't making enough money, my wife is cranky,
Couldn't find fire.
I couldn't find fire. Trace it back to it, so keep going with that. What's the root?
Yeah,
Survival,
exactly.
right? So what do you think would be the one thing the body would not want to do or let go of in a survival situation?
Fat.
Fat. You understand? So let's take this cortisol. Let's just say, now this cortisol could be work-related. We're also walking around in our minds all the time, creating this stress, elevating cortisol levels, right? So we're stressed at work, so what do? I need to start exercising. So I'm going to go CrossFit my ass into the ground. Okay? What did I just do to my cortisol levels? Did I decrease or increase? And it's possible it could go either way. That exercise can decrease if the prescription is correct. Back to what I said before about the digits got to be lined up. Her job is to make sure your digits are lined up from a nutritional perspective. Mine is to make sure that they're lined up from fitness intensity perspective. That you're plugging in the right kind of numbers, the right kind of frequency, and the right amount of volume to force a healthy change, right? We don't just kill you, right? And send you out, you think we do, right? So we want this healthy cortisol dump. So if I'm overtraining, if I'm doing too much exercise, I'm doing 2 hours a day, I'm also increasing my work stress, family stress. Guess what? You're in cortisol dump. And there's a lot of symptoms that lead up to that. And I can tell you, as some of you know, I started competing in powerlifting again. I'm about 20 weeks into it, and literally the last couple of weeks, I can feel the symptoms. I wasn't sleeping well, little joint aches and pains. The very first symptom that you're going to have, and this is my perspective of it, because some of you hate to exercise, but when it goes from, I can't wait to get in the gym, I can't wait to train today, when it goes from that to, shit, I gotta train today. You're done. That's it right there. The central nervous system does not recover the same way as the other energy systems do. In this shock and awe class, you're ready to go again in 24 hours. The first time you do it, you're like, oh my God, I'll never feel right again, right? But after a week of it, you're ready to go in 24 hours, right? You may have a little bit of this and that, but you're ready to go. Your energy systems are recovered, your joints are recovered, your muscles are recovered, you're ready to go again. But your central nervous system is a different animal, okay? It doesn't recover the same way, and it's affected by everything. Central nervous system is a totally different animal. So the first symptoms are, you're not wanting to train, you're tired, you're sleeping too much, and then all of a sudden you can't sleep at all. It's a suppression of appetite, decreased performance output. You're not as strong as you used to be, and it's noticeable. Adrenal fatigue syndrome is the end result of that. Many of you have heard of that as well. And I think it's kind of gotten a little popular, like with our chiropractors now. The first thing they'll do is cortisol test and whatnot. It's important, and we want to know what those levels are, but I think they treat it more like, man, you got this chronic disease you'll never recover from. It's as easy as let's get some healthy sleep again, look at what's causing that stress, and reduce it. So too much overtraining will definitely lead to adrenal fatigue syndrome, and then we're back into metabolic issues again. Which way do I click that thing?
To the right.
That guy?
To the right.
To the right. Slow and steady wins the race, without a doubt. A slow gradual decrease in calories allows for metabolic adaptation. I think that's a really hard thing for people that work with Tiffany is, we want to see, you want results, you want them now, and you want them for 3 easy payments in $19.95. But wait, there's more. We live in a culture of that where we want it as fast as we can, and you've got to get it through your heads once and for all, guys. There is only one way to get there. And if you give us enough money, we'll tell you which way. There is only one way to get there, and that's a macro-based plan. You've got to know your numbers, and you've got to get there slowly and let your body get there. The technology we use, and that's why we got the M-bodies, we want to know accurately what's happening on the inside of the body. Your muscle is absolutely just everything to us. That is your metabolism. It is pristine. You do not want to be losing it. Past age 40 for men and women, men lose about a pound of muscle a year, women 1/2 to 3/4. By the time you're 50, you've lost 10 pounds of muscle, and guess what? That is a chunk of metabolism, folks. But it can be reversed. You can bring it right back. I'm 47 years old and arguably in some of the best shape of my life because I know how to train my body and I know the numbers it needs. I know the intensity levels that it needs. So slow process. When you get on there, the first couple of weigh-ins, I've seen so many of our clients leave and I'll be like, how'd it go? I'm always asking, how was your report card? Oh, I lost 2 pounds. Folks, you ever seen what 5 pounds of fat looks like? 2 pounds doesn't sound like much when it's weight loss. On bathroom scales, I agree with you. 2 pounds is crap. But if you save that muscle tissue and you burn off 2 pounds of fat and we start working towards 5, that is a Wonder Bread size of space. Like go to the store and pick up a loaf of Wonder Bread. That's about what 5 pounds of fat will look like. If you lose 10 pounds of fat, you've lost 2 Wonder Breads. I mean, that's a lot of space, okay? So that's a big win. 5 pounds of fat is a big win. Avoid binging, falling off the wagon, and metabolic suppression from very low calorie diets. I would say the hardest part of our program is the discipline that it takes, right? Would anybody disagree? You got to hit those numbers, right? But Tiffany has a great philosophy, this 80-20 philosophy. Once you start getting it and you're doing well, our goal is as we're bringing you down, right, and we're sustaining that muscle mass, you got to stick around for a while because the goal is to start to bring you right back out of that. We want to feed you as much as we can feed you while you're still losing weight, right? So it's coming down, but then we want to reteach your body to slowly start bringing more carbohydrates specifically into the system. I think you're going through it right now, aren't you? What are you up to right now?
On carbs?
We just took her up.
Bumped it up today.
Back, she's at she stopped cutting at 150 and today we're going to 195 and she hasn't gained any weight.
So see that? So what is that, a 30% increase? And my math is off. So you're 150 and you basically jumped up 50 grams. Right.
Yeah.
I think Laura's starting to do it as well. So that's the plan, is to get you back to a point where your body can sustain and use carbohydrate again. I think I went down as low as like 250, but I literally can handle 500 grams of carbohydrate a day. I can eat a box of Pop-Tart and burn fat. Straight up. Okay? But I didn't just. And
The key takeaway here, guys, is these Pop-Tarts.
The goal is this, that you can eat. I really don't even enter my food anymore. I know, and that's the other goal, I know when and how much my body needs. And I just plug it in. I haven't really journaled in a year because I spent a year diving into it diligently. I didn't miss a beat. And now I know, and I'll know the rest of my life. I won't guess ever again. Reverse dieting, or slowly bringing your metabolic capacity back to baseline levels, after the fat loss stage is essential for avoiding body fat overshooting. I think one of the issues that we saw with some of you culprits out there is you got down, we got you down, and you quit. Woo, done! Back to the drawing board, and then you just went haywire again, right? Because you're down in there. Now we got to bring you slowly back up. That's the issue with the yo-yo, and that's why the yo-yo. You get down there, and by the bottom of it, you're just dying. You're dying, and what do? You run out and you kill it. And what's happened is you've lost all this muscle along the way. Then when you start eating it back, you have less muscle to burn off the same amount of calories you started with before. Does that sound familiar to some of us older people? And younger too, right? That's what yo-yo is. Every time you get down in there, you've lost another pound or two of muscle, then you go back to normal. But guess what you have less of to burn off normal? Now we're fatter. Oh crap, I gotta diet again. And I do it even deeper. And then I come back. And by the time you've done that for 10 years, you've done some damage. So I'm gonna bring the good doctor back in. She's smarter than I am.